Hi, good afternoon, and welcome, class of 2019. My name is Mark Dunn, and I'm an admissions officer here. We're so excited that you're joining us on what you might be able to see out my window here is a beautiful, snowy Sunday afternoon in New Haven. And I think most Yale students are probably doing one of two things right now. They're either studying for midterms because it's our last week of classes before break, or they're watching season 3 of House of Cards, which I will be doing right after this. But we've got 3 Yale students who have joined us here today to answer all of your questions. We've got Jin Chen, who's a freshman. We have Tobias, who's a sophomore. And we have Carly, who's a junior. They're all excited to be here with you, and we are really excited to get all of your questions. And so we've got 3 different ways, actually, that we can take your questions this afternoon. I made myself a little prop here. So you can submit them either via Google+, if you're watching us there, or you can submit them if you're watching on YouTube in the comments, or if you're in our Class of 2019 Facebook group, you can also submit them there. And I'll be looking at those questions as they're coming in, and giving them to our panel here. So to start things off, I thought we'd have each one of our panelists introduce themselves. Carly, would you like to start?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Carly. I'm a junior. I'm in Ezra Stiles College. I'm studying mechanical engineering. And on campus, I'm really involved with the Yale Alpine ski team. I'm from Danbury, New Hampshire. That's why I'm on the ski team, yeah.
Great. And Tobias?
So I'm Tobias. I'm a sophomore in Trumbull College, studying molecular, cellular, and developmental biology. I'm originally from Greenville, South Carolina, and on campus I'm really involved with Yale Spring Fling Committee, and I am training to be an EMT.
All right, and Jin Chen.
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Jin Chen. I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm a freshman here in Calhoun College, and major-wise, I'm pretty undecided. But I'm hoping to study either economics or global affairs. And on campus, I'm involved with the Asian American Cultural Center and do a lot of random events on campus. So.
Excellent. So just as a reminder, guys, you've got a couple different ways that you could submit questions. If you're watching through Google+, you can use the Q&A app that's there, and we'll actually see the questions live on the screen. If you're watching through YouTube, you could just submit a YouTube comment, or if you're on the Facebook group, you can just post a comment there, and we will try to answer your questions. We're going to be here for about 45 minutes today before we go back to midterms and Netflix. So in those 45 minutes, I thought I'd start off actually with a question for Jin Chen. We were just talking about summer plans, and Jin Chen was saying that she is thinking about studying abroad this summer just after freshman year. So could you tell us a little bit about what you have in mind and what Yale resources you're looking into?
Yeah, for sure. So this summer I am trying to study abroad and using Yale basically has this international summer award that I can use, which funds my study abroad experience. So currently I'm applying to a program in Iceland that looks at sustainability and natural resources, which I'm super excited for, and also another one in Croatia. And so hopefully that would be good.
Very cool. Well, good luck with that. So we actually just got a question from Kendrick, who submitted a question on the YouTube page, and I think this one will be great for you, Carly. She's asking about internship experiences in engineering and sort of what those look like, and maybe actually if there are any international internships that you know about that engineers take advantage of as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm a mechanical engineering student, and as a junior, I'm currently looking for a mechanical engineering specific internship this summer. And the Yale Office of Career Strategy, it's like an undergraduate career service specific to Yale undergraduates. And they run a website that's full of job opportunities, both for seniors looking forward to graduation, as well as undergraduates as young as freshmen who are looking to do an internship for the summer. So I've been making use of that resource, looking for internships. These companies come to Yale and offer these jobs to Yale undergraduates specifically. There's also a lot of on-campus recruiting events. We've had Google and SpaceX and Amazon come and host recruiting events and participate in career fairs. So while I'm still in the application process, most people don't start hearing back till after spring break. I'm looking to stay domestic somewhere in the United States. But there's a lot of great internship opportunities across the country, as well as here in New Haven, Connecticut. A lot of students choose to stay on campus. You can be involved in engineering startups here. There's also a lot of international opportunities. After my freshman year, did a non-engineering internship. I was an English teacher in Brazil, and that was facilitated by an undergraduate organization at Yale called ISEC. There's chapters at universities across the world, and they set up an internship for me to teach English in Brazil. So whether you're looking to stay in the U.S., to go abroad, if you want to look in engineering or want to broaden your horizons, there's a lot of great opportunities. Hopefully I'll have some more information on what I will be doing and can let you guys know about that. But the search is hard, but Yale provides you a lot of great resources. Really the hardest part is deciding which one you're going to take.
Very cool. And Tobias, I thought I'd ask you a question now. I think one of the most frequent questions that we get from prospective students and admitted students is about the distributional requirements. So Yale, doesn't have a core curriculum. There's no specific class that any student has to take. But Yale does have this sort of broad set of distributional requirements. And since you're a sophomore, you're kind of halfway through that while you're also thinking about officially declaring a major. So could you talk with folks a little bit about kind of what Yale's distributional requirements look like and what it just means as a student to be taking those classes?
Yeah, definitely. So as a liberal arts institution, Yale requires that students fulfill course requirements that meet both breadth and depth of intellectual stimulation. And so part of that means the distributional requirements, which are about a third of the classes you'll take here at Yale. And those will have you fulfill requirements in each of the skills areas, which are science, quantitative reasoning, writing, quantitative reasoning, and foreign language, and then also in the humanities, social sciences, and the natural sciences. And for most students, myself included, who have a broad range of interests, I've actually already completed my distributional requirements by now without even trying. So yeah, I don't know. It's been great. I've taken classes in things like Middle Eastern history, as a science major, linguistics, English, all sorts of social science and humanities classes, and really sort of knocked those out. And the really cool thing is that I get credit without having to just focus on my major, and I feel like nearing the end of my sophomore year, I'm starting to focus more on classes within my major department, but I also have this background of knowledge and all sorts of things that I may not have tried otherwise. So it's a really great way to explore interests that don't align necessarily with what you want to major in, but that can be really useful.
Great, thanks, Tobias. And I think I've actually got a follow-up question that you would be great to answer. This was one that came at us also through the YouTube page from Alyssa. And she says, I hear a lot about research opportunities for students interested in STEM. And Tobias, I know you're a STEM major. Wondering, are there also similar opportunities for those who are interested in social science as well? So Tobias, I know you're a STEM major and know about the research scene there, but what about the research scene in the social sciences? Do you have friends who've engaged in that kind of research? And can you talk about just research maybe generally, not just working in a lab on campus?
Yeah, so there are tons of research opportunities that don't involve researching in a lab as a STEM major. And while I'm not doing research as a social scientist or in the humanities, every class I've ever taken to meet those distributional requirements, whether it was linguistics or psychology, I've actually had the chance to interact with undergrads who are working with my professors doing research. And as far as I can tell, it works kind of the same way. There are some designated fellowships to help you get funded for summer research or research during the term. But for the most part, it just means finding a professor in whatever field you're interested in, shooting them an email and saying, hey, I really like your work and I'd like to help out. And those professors will set you up with a project or potential thesis or something like that that you can get working on, again, during the term or during the summer. So for the most part, there are these very organized programs to get you research in the social sciences as well as in STEM. But really, if you're interested and there's a professor who's doing work on it, you just ask away and they'll get back to you.
That's great. And our next question I think would be great for Jin Chen. This is one that's coming at us through the Google Plus group, and it's from Daphne. And she's asking, what is Yale like socially? What do you do to relax on Friday nights? So, Jin Chen, in your freshman year, what has the social scene been like, and what do you do on weekends?
Yeah. Weekends are super fun. There are a variety of activities that people participate in. So for me personally, I really enjoy going to performances. And every weekend, a ton of my friends are either in a cappella shows or yesterday night I went to a Roshni performance, which is an Indian dance showcase. And so a lot of performances for you to enjoy. On the other hand, if you feel like doing something fun with your suite mates, we've had game nights in our suite, and we've watched movies on Friday nights. So it's really, really chill and really fun. So anything, there's something for everyone, essentially.
That's great. And Carly, actually, I thought maybe I'd ask you to maybe piggyback onto that. I know that you're involved actually in Greek life here on campus, which can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. What does the sort of sorority experience add to the social scene on campus as you see it?
Sure. So I am in Greek life. I'm in a sorority here, and I serve as the philanthropy chair for the sorority. So a Friday night for a girl in a sorority could mean hanging out with your sisters at the house and baking cookies and watching an episode of Gilmore Girls, or it could mean going to Relay for Life, which is a charitable organization where you stay up all night. It supports cancer research, and you stay up all night in the Payne Whitney gym here at Yale and raise money for cancer research. So being in Greek life provides you with a lot of opportunities. I think the most unique thing about Greek life here at Yale is that it's not an exclusive thing. I don't think that anyone who's not in Greek life feels excluded by people who are in Greek life. It's a great extension of my social life, and I'm really happy with my experience. But I think the best thing about it is that it's really open to everyone. People in every sorority are friends with girls out of their sorority in other sororities. And if a Greek organization like a sorority or fraternity is having some kind of dance or other event, some of them have block parties and things like that when the weather's nice, the whole campus is invited to it. So it's never an exclusionary experience. I think that Greek life just kind of provides another way for people to reach out and get to know each other, and for me specifically to do community service, and that's been a great part of my Yale experience.
Very cool. And Carl, I'm actually going to go to you for the next question too, which came at us from Austin in the on the YouTube page, and he's wondering, what does collaboration look like between engineering and the science departments at Yale? Yale doesn't have a separate School of Engineering for undergrads, although there is the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. So, how separate, and how connected does engineering feel within the larger sort of realm of sciences of engineering at Yale?
Sure. So I think that I've always felt that collaboration is what makes Yale engineering so unique. And I think that you can see that in two ways, which is collaboration among undergraduates who are in the same classes, as well as collaboration between undergraduates, graduate students, and professors. So to speak to the first point, when I came to Yale as a freshman, I was really overwhelmed with the idea of keeping up with all these other phenomenally smart Yale students. And I tried to do my first problem set by myself and really struggled. And when I turned it in the next day and was talking to some friends, they said, "Oh my gosh, you did your homework by yourself? Are you crazy? Come study with us." And from then on, after that first week, I've always found a great group of friends to study with, to do my homework with. And I think that's really important because people here are really committed to lifting you up and supporting your academic goals, even if it means taking some time out of their problem set to show you how to do problem number 2, even though they did it, 30 minutes ago. So I think that collaboration among undergraduates is really unique, but there's also a lot of opportunities to work with graduate students and professors, and on a much less formal scale than what you might be used to. There's a class here called Green Engineering and Sustainable Design, which I plan on taking next year. It's offered to freshmen through seniors in Yale College who are undergraduates, as well as students who are graduate students at the engineering school and graduate students at the School of Management. And it's a project-based class, so by the end of the class, you have worked in a team of 3, 4, or 5 people and made some really cool sustainable project. So, while you might be used to hearing about graduate students teaching you at Yale, a lot of times you'll find your graduate student as essentially your lab partner, which is a really unique experience.
Excellent, thanks. I think it's actually a great segue to our next question, which is coming at us from Jacqueline. And Tobias, maybe you want to take this one. And the question is, how accessible are professors? Do you feel like you actually get the opportunity to connect with them, and are you able to foster, a personal relationship? And Tobias, maybe you can talk about this in terms of academics, but also the residential college experience, which allows a lot of interactions with professors as well.
Certainly. So I guess on the academic level, I have found that my professors who teach the courses that I take are not only extremely friendly and accessible within the classroom, but are also super willing to work with students outside of class on academic measures, but also non-academic things. So this is most obvious, I think, for me within STEM. All the professors that I've ever taken a science class with have had a pitch at the end of most lectures saying, hey, if what you heard today was really interesting to you, I know professors X, Y, and Z who are doing research in it, and you can get involved that way. But I actually took my first English class, and I'm not a good writer or reader, with a professor last semester who found our conversation so engaging and so stimulating that she offered to meet with each of us over lunch outside of the classroom. And so I've actually met with her 3 or 4 times over coffee and lunch just to talk about the books that we were reading and what my take on them were. Within the residential colleges, actually every residential college has at least 2 professors associated with it, often more. And those are the master and the dean. My master is a psychology professor, and she is just wonderful. And so they live within the residential college with you. They host all sorts of study breaks and invite you into their homes. And so oftentimes during midterms, like now, or even more pleasant times of the year, our master will open up her house and say, come by and chat. They hold master's teas with other speakers and guests, and you get to connect with them on a personal level there. My master is also heavily involved in my residential college council, which I serve on, and so I'm often going to her and asking her about all sorts of projects and things that the students have raised that they might want changed in the college. So I'd say everywhere you look, there's a professor or a faculty member who's willing to connect with students, and I think that's why these people are here working at Yale, because they're excited about an opportunity to interact with young and engaging minds.
That's great. And so Tobias, that's your experience as a sophomore. Jin Chen, I'm wondering if you maybe want to talk about your experience as a freshman. Do you feel like you've had the same sort of opportunities to interact with professors in the classroom in the residential colleges, even just in your freshman year as well?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess for me at first it was kind of scary because coming into college, whoa, like professors are big names, and I just wasn't too sure how you really do interact with them. But first semester I took a freshman seminar that are very specifically geared towards freshmen, and it was a very small class, about like 15 people, and our professor, which I found out very recently, is apparently this really, really awesome, this really, really big name in his field, but I didn't note that at the time. But he was super caring. In addition to just teaching us coursework, he would regularly ask us how we were doing. For example, one day he asked us to see if our transitions went well to college, and also how your weekend was. And so professors are super friendly. I'm still in touch with him, and I go visit him sometimes to just chat about maybe about life and what I want to do. And he gives me a lot of good advice on what courses I should take and how I should choose my majors and stuff like that.
Excellent. So our next question I think will be perfect for you, Carly. This is also coming at us from our YouTube page. These are awesome questions, guys, by the way. Thank you for asking these. This one's from Arda. And Arda's wondering about the entrepreneurial spirit on campus. People who want to start business ventures, try something new. What's your sense of that? We oftentimes think of that in terms of engineers, but certainly our engineers are not the only entrepreneurs on campus. But what do you see in your experience? And I know that Tobias, maybe you could add on after Carly answers, talk about what things are like in the Center for Engineering, Innovation, and Design as well. So Carly, you want to start us off?
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities to express your entrepreneurial spirit here at Yale. My suite mate is really involved in the YEI, the Yale Entrepreneurial Institute, and she works for the Student Developers Program, which actually takes current undergraduates and helps them build apps. There are real companies coming in asking for, we need an app to go along with this website that we already have, or we need to build a website and an app. And there's a group of student developers who are actually paid to do that. So whether you have your own ideas or you want to help facilitate others, the Yale Entrepreneurial Institute is a great resource for that. And Tobias, if you want to add on, I know you have something to say.
Sure. And another great space for sort of incubating these entrepreneurial ideas here on campus is the Center for Engineering, Innovation, and Design, which is this wonderful, wonderful space for engineers and scientists, but actually all students from all disciplines. There are wood shops, laser cutters, there's a wet lab for cell culture, and all sorts of other things for sort of getting projects off the ground. And you'll often find students there in the context of either courses they're taking, where they're working hands-on on these projects that could eventually turn into business ideas. They might be working through an organized institution like the Center for Biomedical and Interventional Technologies, or CBIT, which actually promotes student ideas for developing medicine and medical technology as inspired by doctors from Yale New Haven Hospital. But actually there are lots of unorganized entrepreneurial ventures going on campus. I myself was looking to sort of apply to something or join one of these programs, and then a biochemistry professor in my major department sent out an email to everyone saying, hey, I've got this little idea and I'm looking for a small student team to get it off the ground. And so for the past couple weeks, I've actually been working with 4 other students and 1 professor on something that I can't really talk too much about, but it's exciting, and it's very casual, very informal, but hopefully will lead to something big. Yeah.
Well, very cool. I don't even know what that's about, Tobias, so it's really on the DL. Cool. All right, so our next question I actually think would be great. Maybe if we ask all 3 of you, because you've got different experiences. This is coming from Ryan, and is asking, how often do you find difficulty getting a spot in a class that you'd like to take? I know this is usually the first question that people ask when they hear about Yale's awesome shopping period that allows you to actually go into classes before you register for them. But the question is always, okay, well, what happens when you shop a class and you love it, but you don't get into it? How often does that happen? What kind of experience is that like? And how do you navigate those kinds of things? So why don't we go Jinchen, Carly, and Tobias.
Yeah, sure. So for me as a freshman coming in, I was pretty overwhelmed essentially by just how many awesome classes there were available to everyone. So I guess my misconception was that I thought a lot of classes were only open to upperclassmen, and in fact that I found out that wasn't true at all. So coming in, we had what's called freshman counselors, who are seniors who kind of guide us and give us advice on kind of academic things and also other things like extracurriculars and stuff. So my FROCO essentially showed me how to shop for classes, and I was able to take a lot of different. This past shopping period, for example, I shopped 12 classes because there were just simply too many classes I was interested in. And so I went in this class that was mostly upperclassmen, just a little intimidated, but it was not it was nothing unusual at all. So I took, and I found the class to be very interesting. It's a history of South Africa, which is something that I thought I would never really take because I didn't really know about South Africa to begin with, and now I feel like an expert. And I'm taking the class with a bunch of upperclassmen, which is super interesting because I get to hear their perspectives on things as well. Carly?
Okay, there we go. Having a little technical problem. Yeah, I can definitely speak to this experience. As an engineering major, I do take a lot of engineering-specific classes, and those a lot of times are offered as lectures, but do end up staying small classes. So most classes that I've taken for engineering are about 15 kids. So while they're not actually, seminars that you have to compete to get into, they still have this really small, tight-knit classroom feel. I did have to apply for a seminar that I'm taking this semester, and I would love to just talk about this class. It's a really unique, very Yale-only opportunity. There's a PhD candidate who entered a competition to teach his own class here. So he competed among other PhD candidates here at Yale and presented a course syllabus and a plan for a semester-long class. and he ended up winning this teaching competition. So it's the one and only time this class will ever be offered at Yale, and it's a classical civilization class. It's about cultures in ancient Greece and ancient Rome, and so I did have to apply for that class. And as an engineering major, trying to produce a writing sample to get into a classical civilizations class was a little intimidating, but these professors really do seek a breadth and diversity in their classroom environment. So I'd say the most important thing is to never limit yourself by thinking you're not going to get into a seminar. I'm a mechanical engineering major with no knowledge of Greek or Latin, and I ended up getting into the class and have had an amazing experience, and I think I sometimes have something valuable to contribute. I hope my professor would say the same, but it's been a great experience. I've learned a lot, and I would really encourage anyone who comes to Yale to take the chance and apply to a seminar because you think it's cool, and even if you have no background in it, you can get a lot out of it.
Yeah, I guess I'll add a little bit. Keeping in with what Jen Chen and Carly said, I actually am lucky enough I haven't ever really had difficulty getting into a class that I wanted to take. Most classes, although they are kept small, if enough interest is shown, the professor will work with the registrar's office to add additional discussion sections or maybe open up another time slot for the class to be offered so that everyone who wants to take it can take it. And all the classes, particularly freshman seminars my freshman year and residential college seminars, which are capped classes offered within the residential colleges on subjects that are actually voted on by students of the residential college. Those are capped and they do have an application process, but the really cool thing about that is that you actually apply for those just a little bit before shopping period starts, so you know once you start shopping whether or not you have a spot in the class. And I found, like most other things at Yale, communicating with the professor is really easy, and so if you show up one day to a class that's capped at, say, 18 students, the professor will let you know where you are on the wait list, what the likelihood is that you'll end up in the class, and they'll encourage you to keep attending with the hopes that you'll make it in, because during shopping period, everyone's schedules are changing, and so you don't want to give up on a class before you know it's too late.
Great. Okay. These questions are rolling in now. So our next one is from Michelle, and wondering, what's the New Haven community like? Do you spend a lot of time in town, or is most of your social life on campus? And I will just go ahead and put in a quick plug for New Haven's best pizza, Modern Pizza. People talk about Sally's versus Pepe's. I'm just going to put it out there right now. Modern Pizza is the best pizza. That's my favorite thing to do in town. But maybe let's hear from Jin Chen and from Carly, sort of your experiences with New Haven and social life. What do you like to do in town for fun?
I actually really love New Haven. So I came from Houston, which is a huge megacity, and New Haven is like pretty much like what I really enjoy in a city. It has like the city life, and also just it's small enough to not be a very like to engulf you and like the amount of people that's there. So I love the restaurants here around here. This weekend, my friends and I go out to eat. We've tried to sample a restaurant every week, and we haven't gotten through a block yet. So there are just so many choices. My favorite restaurant is this tiny hole-in-the-wall place down the street that's called La Cocinita, and it has this delicious burrito that I get a lot. In addition, there are a ton of really cool things happening around town. So, for example, my friends and I have went to the farmers market for a couple weekends, and it's really fun to see the people, just like the people in town. A lot of families bring their kids there as well, and their pets. It's a really nice environment to be in.
Excellent. And Carly, yeah, your experience. Have you experienced anything new, as a junior that maybe you didn't know about as a freshman?
Oh, absolutely. And I would just like to say I have had a very different experience coming to New Haven. I'm from a small town of maybe 1,000 people. So I wasn't coming from Houston. I was coming from small town New Hampshire. And I definitely had some concerns about living in the city. I'd never lived in a city before. How was I going to get around? I'd never taken public transportation. And New Haven has been a great first city for me. I've loved being in New Haven. It is consistently one of the best food cities. And I might disagree with Mark about modern pizza, but you guys will have to come to New Haven yourself and settle that debate for us. But there's a great food scene here. Just the other night, I went out to Indian food for my friend's birthday. There's a Moroccan food place, Ethiopian food. Whatever you're looking for, you can find good food in New Haven. I would also say that I've definitely got involved in the community in a lot of different ways as a junior, because the community is more than just, shopping. And while there's great shopping on Broadway, which is right in the middle of Yale's campus, and there's a lot of great places to go out, the Yale University Art Gallery, which is always free and open to the public. You guys should check that out. There's also a community here that's not involved with Yale. And I have found, particularly being involved in philanthropy through my sorority, that there's a lot of community service to be done in New Haven. I have a lot of friends who are involved in a community service organization started here at Yale to help prepare taxes for people who, don't have the money to get them done, somewhere else, and who might be working 9 to 5. We do it at hours that are convenient for those people. There's a lot of ways to get involved in the community here to give back. I think New Haven has given me a lot of great things and a lot of opportunities to grow. And I think that this year I've really found a lot of great ways to give back to that community.
Excellent. Okay, well, our next question, I think, will be for both Tobias and Jin Chen. This is coming from Austin on the YouTube page. And Carly's from New Hampshire, so she would not be able to answer this question. It is about coming from Arizona and wondering, how does one prepare oneself for a cold Connecticut winter? And I want to say that actually, I think this is going to be the coldest winter on record this year. So for incoming freshmen, it's great because it's already done. There's no way it's going to be colder than this. But Tobias from South Carolina and Jin Chen from Houston, what advice do you have for folks who are coming north for the first time?
I would say, first of all, you don't really need to worry about it. I was really worried, and it turns out that it's really cold to everyone, even people who are from the Northeast. They recognize that it's problematic. I think first the snow, when it starts to snow, is beautiful, and so you'll appreciate it. But once you start to realize how cold it is, you got to layer up. That's my advice. Layer up, and don't try to buy a coat at home because it's just not going to do the job. So when I showed up, I actually have, it's inevitable that you'll have a lot of friends who are from the Northeast or from colder climates because Yaleys come from all over the place. And they actually, I just looked to my peers and my freshman counselor freshman year for advice on what sorts of things to buy, what kind of boots to purchase, how to stay warm, what places to study to stay warm. There are also lots of underground passages here at Yale, so how to get from place to place without walking outside. But I would say don't worry about it. Everything below like 30 degrees feels the same to me. So.
Yeah, same for me. It wasn't. I have never seen snow really before coming here, so I didn't really know what to expect. I brought 3 sweaters with me, thinking that would be enough for the winter. But I had a ton of friends who helped me get the winter coats and boots that was necessary. In addition, I like to brag that one of my suite mates is from Michigan, and so I complained in the fall when it got cool, like chilly. But then now she's complaining about the cold, and I'm just like, I've adapted to the weather. I don't know what you're talking about. And it's honestly, it's so fun because I've never been able to do like a lot of the cool snow things that people do in their childhood. So my suite mate brought her snowshoes, and we went snowshoeing up East Rock, which is a little a park, kind of like a hill mountain thing, close by campus. And we also went sledding. Made snow angels, and then we had a huge snowball fight. That's pretty special because it's like the whole freshman class would come out, and we would throw snowballs at each other.
That's great. Okay, so our next question is actually directed at you, Carly. This is from William, and he's wondering sort of why you specifically chose Yale for engineering. I know it's one of your favorite things to talk about. So there are lots of great places to do engineering out there, but there's something very special, I think, for our engineers here at Yale. So what were those reasons for you?
Yeah, no, it definitely is one of my favorite things to talk about because, while it might have been, 3 years ago, I still remember the experience, and it was really hard trying to figure out where I was going to go to school. I'd like to say I previously, before coming to Yale, wasn't sure I was looking for a liberal arts institution. I had always thought, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to study engineering, and that's that. I'm never going to take an English class again or, anything not related to my major. But I did apply to Yale. There was something there when I visited campus that I did like something about the way the campus felt. And I would say that my decision really was made during Bulldog Days. So Bulldog Days is the event where we welcome all of our admitted students to campus. It happens in the end of April. It's going to be, I'm not sure about the days, maybe Mark can tell you about that. But we do have it coming up in the end of April for all the admitted students. And you're here for 2 nights, and you just get to know the campus. You get to see all the extracurricular groups here, and you live with a current student, and you get a good feel for the campus climate. And when I was here, I was still really torn about my decision-making process. And I ran into a student who was sitting in the hallway where I was, the dorm I was staying in. And he was sitting in the hallway because there were high school seniors who were trying to sleep in his common room. So he had taken his work to the hallway to do it, which I just thought was really sweet. He was a great guy, and he told me more about what it was like to be an engineer at Yale. And one of the things that he had brought up was that there's an incredible faculty-student ratio in engineering, nearly 1-to-1. It's a great, really close experience that you have with your professors. And the way that he said that is that it's going to be the best letter of recommendation of your life, meaning that you're going to get to know your professors, and they're going to get to know you. My professors all know me on a first-name basis and can say, you know, hey, Carly, did you get to go back to New Hampshire for winter break? How was it up there? And that is a really unique experience that you can have here at Yale Engineering. Our School of Engineering is small, but it's that size that makes us so close-knit and allows us to know other undergraduates as well as our professors really well. And so he had told me that, and I found coming to Yale that that's been incredibly true. The professors are really accessible, you know, renowned in their field, but are really approachable. And also that collaboration within the undergraduate community that I mentioned earlier. People here are really concerned about your personal success for the reason that it's your success. People want to see you do well. And it means a lot to me that I have friends who will, you know, stop what they're doing to help me out. And that sometimes I can do that back. So I think that Yale Engineering is really unique in that, you know, you're getting a liberal arts education. You're getting a breadth of an education. I've been able to explore interests in psychology and in the humanities, taking history classes, taking political science classes. I've learned about a lot of things that I didn't know I was interested in because I couldn't take classes about that in high school. So I've been able to get a really thorough ABET accredited engineering education, which for anyone who doesn't know, ABET accreditation means that you are at the most highly technically certified level for an undergraduate. So any school that's really, you know, strong for their engineering program will have an ABET accredited national standard program. So Yale offers that in mechanical engineering and other engineering majors, but at the same time, you can still spend some of your 36 credits taking, you know, political science, history, foreign language, whatever else you're interested in. So I've had a great experience as a Yale engineer, and I think that that breadth of my education makes me a better engineer at the end of the day.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, Carly. So we've got 2 sort of related questions, and I think Tobias maybe will look to you to answer these. Jacqueline's asked this question here about social justice and activism organizations on campus, sort of what that looks like and where folks are involved, what they do. And then there's another question that's related to that, that's sort of like, how do you get to these opportunities? You know, we talk a lot about all the cool opportunities to do service in New Haven. How do you get from your dorm room or your suite, you know, in Trumbull College to doing service around in the community?
So those are great questions. In terms of social justice and activism opportunities on campus, you don't really have to look that far to find them. All around campus there are bulletin boards with posters and things that are put up by student organizations that are super eager to have new members. You may think you come to college and you want to be involved in extracurriculars of any sort. It might be kind of competitive. You're at Yale after all. But it's not like that at all. These organizations for social justice and activism are willing to have any and all undergraduates join to help out. Oftentimes on cross campus, which is a popular area on campus near one of our main libraries and a couple residential colleges, groups will set up during lunch with tables and hand out, literally put in your hands, information about what the work they're doing and how you might like to get involved. As far as getting to these opportunities, the groups are all receiving funding through the University Organizations Committee to do all these works, and so you don't have to have a car on campus or, you know, enough money to fly yourself around the world. The groups raise money through all sorts of philanthropic efforts to fund these activities, and there are great opportunities to do during the term here on campus, but you can also go abroad or stay in New Haven during spring break and other breaks to do service work. I have a lot of friends participating in Spring Break New Haven, where they hit up different spots in the community to do whatever work they may be doing against homelessness or hunger. And then also people take service trips and activism trips all around the world.
Excellent. And actually, that all around the world piece is a good segue to another question that I think, Carly, maybe we'll start with you, and Jin-Chen, maybe you can add a little bit in there. What is study abroad a popular option? That's the question. What does studying abroad look like at Yale? Maybe we can expand that to how do people pay to go to study abroad? Also, what are the fellowship opportunities and scholarship opportunities out there to study abroad, especially say if you're on significant financial aid at Yale as well?
Yeah, so study abroad can take a lot of different forms. Some students may choose to go abroad for a semester. I've had some friends do that. I've never thought it'd be right for me, and I think a lot of students feel this way. They just don't want to leave the Yale campus. So the hardest part about studying abroad is saying goodbye to your friends and to this great campus for a semester. Those who do choose to go abroad have a great time. When you go abroad for a semester, you pay for your Yale college experience the same way. You're still paying to go to Yale, but you will just be in a different part of the world. So if you're on financial aid, I'm a student on financial aid, study abroad for the school year is not something for people who have more money than you. If you're on financial aid, you can go abroad for a semester if you want to. Additionally, a lot of students choose to go abroad during the summer. And I've actually been abroad the past 2 summers. I mentioned I did an internship after my freshman year, and after my sophomore year, I received my distributional requirements for foreign language by studying abroad in Paris. So I lived in Paris for 6 weeks through a university program studying intermediate French. And I had never thought that I could do that before I came to Yale because I didn't have the money to live in Paris for nearly 2 months. But at Yale, if you're on financial aid, and Jin-Chen mentioned this earlier, there's an International Summer Award, the ISA. And the ISA is calculated based on the percentage of financial aid that you receive during the academic year. So they look at how much you're given during the average school year, and they transfer that to funds for whatever your summer activity is. So as soon as I said, all right, I'm ready to go, study abroad in Paris, here's my program, I got accepted, now how do I pay for it? The financial aid office looks at the cost of your program, the cost of your housing, the cost of your plane ticket and any trains you have to take to school or work while you're there, and even the cost of your missed income, because students on financial aid are expected to earn some money over the summer, and Yale realizes that if you're studying abroad, you're probably not working at the ice cream shop that you work at back home. So they look at all of these figures and they add up how much the summer experience will cost you, and they will cover the cost of your summer experience proportional to the way they cover your school year here at Yale. So I received the total amount that you can receive is up to $10,000. So I got a $10,000 check from Yale to go study abroad in Paris for the summer. So if you come from means where studying abroad doesn't seem feasible, I challenge you to find a program that Yale won't help you out with, because Yale will look at whatever you're doing, whether it's study abroad for language like I did or working abroad. I had a friend who was working in Hong Kong this summer, and she used her ISA to work there. Whatever it is that you're looking to do, finances will not be an obstacle. Yale Financial Aid is going to be there for you.
And I totally agree with that. I'm using my ISA this summer, but I would just like to add that for people who might still be might not receive financial aid, studying abroad is still a very feasible option for you, because Yale offers a ton of fellowships that help you study abroad, that are based off of the merit of your project and just basically how much you want to go study abroad. So my study abroad advisor was a very, very helpful resource for me to talk to, because she introduced me to this huge online database that contained a bunch of fellowships that I could apply for to get additional funding as well.
Excellent. Well, we are right up against the end of our time here, and actually we weren't able to answer everybody's questions. But don't worry, we will be doing more virtual student forums like this later on in the spring. And I wanted to make sure that everyone has the dates for Bulldog Days. It's going to be April 20th through 22nd. That's a Monday through a Wednesday. We'd love to see you here for as long as you can make it. Carly and Tobias and Jinchen will be there. Over 1,000 of your future classmates in the class of 2019 will be there as well, and we really can't wait to roll out the red carpet for you. We're going to get rid of all this snow between now and then. It's all going to go away. But we want to say congratulations again to all of you. The early action admitted students who are there are likely admitted students who are watching as well. And we hope to see you soon. Keep the questions coming. If you've got questions about anything, remember you can always shoot an email to bulldog@yale.edu. And we hope to see you on campus soon. Thanks, guys, for joining us here today. And congratulations again, class of 2019.